On July 4, 2026, a folded flag left the U.S. Capitol at dawn. By nightfall, it was headed to the moon. This isn't a stunt. It's the next chapter of America's return to the lunar surface, and the story behind that flag connects 3 generations of astronauts across 54 years. Let's rewind. In December 1972, Apollo 17 astronaut Jack Schmitt became one of the last 2 humans to ever walk on the moon. No one has stood on that surface since. For over 5 decades, that flag, the one Neil Armstrong first planted in 1969, has remained the last word in human exploration beyond Earth orbit. Until now. On the night of America's 250th birthday, during a keynote address on the National Mall, President Trump stood in front of some of the most historically loaded flags in the country, the oldest known American flag in existence from 1777, the flag that draped Abraham Lincoln's casket, and the banner carried by Lewis and Clark in 1803. And into that room walked the 4 astronauts of Artemis II. Just 3 months earlier, in April 2026, this crew, NASA's Reid Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Koch, alongside Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, had done something no human beings in history had ever done. They flew farther from Earth than any crewed spacecraft ever has. Not Apollo, not the International Space Station. Their 10-day mission looped around the far side of the moon and brought them home, capturing the world's attention in a way NASA hadn't seen in decades. Now, standing before the crowd, U.S. Air Force Major Caitlin Tinkham carried a folded flag onto the stage, one that had flown above the U.S. Capitol that very morning. She placed it into the hands of Jack Schmitt, the Apollo-era moonwalker, who then stood beside Artemis II commander Reid Wiseman. Think about what that handoff actually represents. A man who last touched lunar soil in 1972, physically passing the torch to the astronauts training to return there. Trump told the crowd that within 66 years of the Wright brothers first taking flight, Americans had already planted a flag on the moon. He then revealed the plan. This new Capitol flag isn't ceremonial. It's earmarked to be physically planted on the lunar surface during NASA's upcoming landing mission. Here's the scale of what's coming. NASA is targeting Artemis III for mid to late 2027. That mission won't land yet. It's a validation flight, testing rendezvous and docking with 2 competing commercial lunar landers, SpaceX's Starship and Blue Origin's Blue Moon. The actual crewed lunar landing, the one that will finally put boots back on the moon after more than 50 years, is scheduled for Artemis IV in 2028. That's the mission carrying this exact flag down to the surface. Why does this matter beyond the symbolism? Because the Artemis program represents one of the most ambitious and expensive undertakings in modern spaceflight history, with the long-term goal of establishing a permanent human presence on the moon, a stepping stone toward eventually reaching Mars. Every flag, every ceremony, every handoff is really a marker of how close humanity now is to becoming a multi-world species again, after a 5-decade pause. And it hasn't all been smooth. NASA's own watchdogs have flagged serious concerns, billions of dollars in canceled Artemis hardware contracts, and warnings that aging launch infrastructure needs another $1 billion in upgrades just to keep pace with the program's ambitions. Even amid celebration, the road to 2028 is far from guaranteed. But for one night in Washington, none of that mattered. An Apollo astronaut and an Artemis astronaut stood shoulder to shoulder, holding a piece of cloth that will one day sit on lunar dust, visible from Earth only through the lens of a return no one has managed in over 50 years. So here's the real question. If humans do successfully plant that flag in 2028, will it mark the true beginning of a permanent human presence on the moon? Or just another historic moment we admire and then quietly forget? Drop your prediction below and follow for more real space updates as the countdown to the moon continues.